Hello everyone, welcome to my kitchen. I'm Valmore. The recipe that I will be making for you today comes from the Final Fantasy XIV cookbook. It is a bread that, when finished, is supposed to be reminiscent of the shape of wheat. And you may not have watched any of my videos before, but when I try to put designs in the food, it doesn't usually turn out well. So we'll have to see how close I get at the end. This is bacon bread. Let's get started. The first thing I want to do is bloom some yeast. I'm going to start by putting some oat milk into a pan and some water, and I'm going to heat that up to about 100 degrees Fahrenheit. And now that it's at a temperature I want it to be, I'm going to add in my yeast. And I'm going to let that bloom for about 5 minutes. Meanwhile, to make the dough, I am going to start that with AP flour, whole wheat flour, and salt. And I'm just going to give that a quick mix. Now I will pour my yeast mixture into the flour and stir everything together until it comes together. And then I am just going to knead it together for about 10 minutes. Then I'm going to put my dough into an oiled up bowl and cover it and let it rise for about an hour. After rising for about an hour, I am going to put it out onto a floured surface. Just going to give this a quick knead. And now I'm going to cut it into 4 and roll these up into balls. And I'm going to cover these and let them sit for 20 minutes. Into some boiling water, I am going to add bacon. And I am going to let that cook for 5 minutes. What I want to do now is I want to roll out my dough a little bit longer than the bacon and wide enough for a little more than 2 pieces to sit side by side. And now I'm going to put on some stone ground mustard. I'm going to spread it to the edges. I'm going to put on a few pieces of bacon and I'm going to roll it up. Now I'm going to pinch together the edges and roll this out a little so that it flattens. You can see the slow progression when I was making these. This one I had put too much mustard in and it kind of exploded. This one I still put too much mustard in, but not as much. And then these last two, I got the right ratio of mustard down. And now I'm going to cover these and let them sit for about 40 minutes until they double in size. I said earlier that the shape of these are going to be reminiscent of wheat. To get that, I am going to cut these at an angle. Then I'm going to sprinkle these with some water. And I'm going to put them in the oven. And on the rack below is going to be a baking dish with water in it. And I'm going to put them into the oven for part 1 for 10 minutes. And after the first round, I am going to brush these with butter. And sprinkle with flaky salt. And I'm going to put them back into the oven for 10 more minutes. Then lower the temperature and leave them in there until they brown. Well, after some overstuffing issues, which is a flaw that I tend to express in my cooking with things like burritos and tacos, this turned out to be pretty good. Bacon and mustard go wonderfully together, a combination that has salty and acidic, and as I suspected, the decorative element of this did not turn out the way the book had hoped, or I had hoped for that matter. I hope you enjoyed. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at chef_Valmore. The links will be in the description below. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and come on back next week for another recipe.